Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30 on Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. We'll call this Board of Directors meeting for the Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley to order. If you wouldn't mind joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if I can get a roll call, please.
Board Member Enriquez is absent. Board Member Murillo Trujillo is absent. Board Member Ellens, absent. Board Member Flores. Present. Board Member McMahon.
Present.
Board Member Gandara.
Here.
Board Member Abeta Stuve.
Here.
Chair Sanchez.
Present. We'll call, let's see, we do have a quorum. Are there any changes to the agenda? No, there are no changes to the agenda. If I can get a motion and a second to approve the agenda, please.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Abeta Stuve.
So we have a motion by Councilor Flores, seconded by Vice Chair Abeta Stuve to approve the agenda. Is there any comments from the board? Okay. Can I get a roll call, please?
Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Board Member McMahon.
Yes.
Board Member Gandara.
Yes.
Board Member Abeta Stuve.
Yes.
Chairperson Sanchez.
Yes, we have our agenda. Okay, we're moving on to agenda item number 4, which is the reading of the closed meeting statement for November 29th, 2021. The Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley Board of Directors met in closed session at 11:25 a.m. on Monday, November 29th, 2021. In attendance was Commissioner Lynn Allens, Assistant County Manager McMahon, Vice Chair Abeta Stuve, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, and Councilor Flores joined at 11:32 a.m. And I joined the meeting at 12:05, sorry, I put my notes here, 12:05 p.m. The only matter discussed during the closed session was the annual performance review of the Executive Director, Clint Thacker, and the meeting adjourned at 12:30 p.m. Okay. So we're now on to the approval of the minutes, agenda item 5A, from the regular Ascmv board meeting held on November 29th, 2021. If I can get a motion and a second on those to approve the minutes.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Abeta Stuve.
Okay, we have a motion that's been properly seconded. Is there any comments on the minutes? Okay. Can I get a roll call on the approval of the minutes from November 29th, 2021?
Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Board Member McMahon.
Yes.
Board Member Gandara.
Yes.
Board Member Abeta Stuve.
Yes.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes. Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we're on to reports and presentations. From CFPP, I didn't get a response, so I don't know if there's anybody in the audience for the Coalition for Pets and People. Okay, we'll move on then to City and County ACO reports. Ms. Ward, if you don't mind kicking us off.
Good morning, Mary Lou Ward, Doñana County, Animal Control. Let me see, there's no mouse, so here we go.
Generally, when someone says that statement, that's only a good thing.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go with our November reporting for Doñana County. We had 261 reported stray animals for the month of November. We picked up 190 of those stray animals. 68 of those were cats and 122 were dogs. In addition, we also picked up 9 sick or injured animals. 3 of those were cats and 6 of those were dogs. We also had 11 owner surrender animals, and all of those were dogs. If you look at our 4-year comparison chart, you can see on the reported strays how that compares to the years prior for that. I'll leave that up there for just a second, and then I'll go to the next chart. That's a 4-year comparison on our return to owner in the field. Last month we returned 38 animals in the field compared to the month before, which was 40. So that's a 4-year comparison as well. And then here's the additional animals. We had 2 welfare holds. We didn't have any neglect or abuse. We had shelter quarantines that were 6. Home quarantines were 0. 0 at our court hold facility. Our court hold facility is actually undergoing a major uplift right now. We are getting the floors redone. And then we had 6 rabies submissions. Those were all negative. I keep leaving these up here for a reference. I think it's important to leave it up here because even I need to go back to it myself and look at it. So I think that's good to leave up there. And then if you look at it as you divide it into the districts, 8 in District 1, which was 3 cats and 8 dogs. District 2 was 30, 3 was 32. Our District 4 was 44, 5 was 30, 6 was 12, and of course District 7 was 34. So you can definitely see where our hotspot areas are, which is like District 4. You can definitely go back and see that. And then looking at it as cats picked up by districts, it'll just divide it even further and show you a comparison for this year, how it looks on the stray animals that were picked up by cats in those districts. And then here we go with the same thing with dogs as we looked at the districts and how many we picked up. So you can see our District 4 for this year on dogs, how that pans out for the dogs. We picked up 28 in that district alone. And then our reason for owner release, we had 4 that were aggressive, 2 that were dangerous, 1 they couldn't care for the animal, 2 that were sick or injured, 1 person was moving, they couldn't take it with them, and 1 they just simply said they had no time for the dog. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Are there any questions for Ms. Ward? Councilor Flores? I see your-
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Ward. As far as I saw that the January 21 strays were the highest number across the board, and is it people returning their Christmas gifts?
On the return owners or the strays?
Oh, well, just the chart that I think it was. Scroll down so I can see where it was.
The stray.
No, it wasn't that chart. It was that one.
The stray cats
I think
that
it
were
was,
picked up?
no, the dogs, pardon, the dogs. Yeah, yes, that one right there, Ms. Ward. It seems like when you look across the board, it looks like that seems to be about the highest month all around.
So the highest month on this one, if you look at May, that big tower on in the middle there, that would be May, would be the highest for that one, if you look at that. And that would be in District 4, that was going to be May for that. That was 48 animals in that district, or 46, I mean.
Oh,
in that
okay.
district.
But so is there any correlative data that can be attributed to that?
I would have to go back and do some research to see what was going on in that, on that particular month and time, and see what was going on.
Mother's Day gifts? I don't know. Because it seems like, it's just that January stood out to me. It's the second highest, actually.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it's starting to March, April, it starts getting warmer in May, and that's when more activities starting to come out.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Thank
You're
you, Mr.
welcome.
Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Are there any other questions for Ms. Ward?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Enriquez, and I apologize to calling you out. I don't know if you were planning, did you want to join us on the dais, or I didn't know if you were going to be part of our group today or not. Sorry to put you on the spot. I just wanted to, seeing you out there, I just didn't know if you were going to be able to join us or.
Yes, I can, but I thought that you had the forum.
I mean, it's up to you. You being part of the board, you're definitely, your input is yeah. Good. Okay, we'll move on to the city ACO reports. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Officer Salaguirre, standing in for Gino Jimenez. He's still on leave, probably on leave for the next month or so. So, good morning. Let's see here. Where is it? Yeah. Sorry. Where's my expansion? Where is my expansion? There it is. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Too early in the morning. Good morning. So I'm here to present you the monthly stats for the month of November. Our first stat here is a reported stray animals that we had. So we had a total of 456 stray animals that were reported for, and I apologize, this says October for the month of November. So we had a total of 196 animals that were gone on arrival. On the stray animals apprehended, it says 229. I'm going to adjust that and correct that to 260 stray animals apprehended. Total of 211 strays that were impounded at the shelter, 111 dogs, and then it would be 100 stray cats that were impounded. 41 of those were successful field returns. 8 of those were unsuccessful attempted field returns, for a total of 49 identifiable animals. Moving on to the next slide. So we total of reported strays for this month, we had 456 animals as compared to 414 from the previous year, and then 462 from October. So the 3-year field RTO comparison, we had for the month of November, 41 as compared to 30 from the year before and 34 from the previous year. So we had quite a few, I think we had quite a few owner releases this month. I'm not entirely sure what that was attributed to, but I think that these numbers were a little more than the previous months. So we had one that was owner released for aggression towards people and other dogs. We had one that was a dog that was returned or owner released for old age. And then we had one that was owner released to us because the owner could not have a pit bull within the mobile home park. And then we had one that was owner released to us for a bite. We had 3 dogs that were returned to us because the owners were unable to care for. And we had another one that also was owner released to us because it bit the owner's son. And then we had 2 more that were released because the owners could not care for them. Six dogs that were owner released to us because they were aggressive towards the owners or other people around the household. So the unable to return dogs that we had and animals, we had 7 that we were unable to make contact with the owners, and then 1 that the owner was at work and could not pick up their animal. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Do we have any questions on the report? Okay. Doesn't look like it. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, sorry about that. I'll leave it as is. Thank you, guys.
Okay, it looks like we had before we move on to the shelter statistics and activities, it looks like there was a confusion on our Coalition for Pets and People presentation. If there's no opposition from the board, I'd like to go back to that. We have a representative from the Doña Ana County Humane Society that's here to provide a presentation.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
And my apologies for that.
That's okay. I heard Coalition for Pets and People, and I thought someone from their organization was going to present, but thank you so much for your time. My name is Acl Reports, and I am the Executive Director of the Doña Ana County Humane Society. I joined the organization in October of 2019, and as most animal welfare organizations, we do a lot with a little. I was the sole employee up until this June. We actually hired a part-time office coordinator, so now there's a couple of us there holding down the fort. We do have a board of directors comprised of 9 community members as well. And just as we go through, I'm going to give you a little synopsis of our work, but our motto is keeping people and pets together. And I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of how we do that. The history of the Doña Ana County Humane Society, some of you in this room probably know it better than I do. We used to be the shelter. So we were founded in 1955, and in 2008, when the city and county took over shelter operations through the Ascmv, docs, as we're known, kept the 501c3. And it was dormant for a bit until the board decided what they wanted to do. There was a brief time when you could tell the organization didn't quite know what they wanted to be when they grew up, but they did keep the 501c3 to kind of evaluate the community's needs. We currently operate 3 community programs. Our largest program is the Animal Relief Fund. When we were no longer operating the shelter, there was a huge need in the community for financially under-resourced pet owners who couldn't pay those vet bills. Emergencies came up, dogs, cats, hit by cars, surgeries, et cetera. So the board saw a need to kind of create a program to provide vet care vouchers for those financially under-resourced pet parents. We qualify clients using the HUD income guidelines. So using those guidelines, if families qualify based on number of people in the residence and household income, they'll complete an application, submit copies of their proof of income, pay a $50 copay that's payable to us, and submit a photo of their pet. Clients can qualify for this program once a year based on date of service. And there's different voucher types that the Animal Relief Fund provides. The most popular is the vet care voucher. That's good for up to $250 towards those vet treatment costs. A lot of times pet owners will go to the vet and it costs more than $250, so in those instances, they're able to qualify for 1 additional voucher, so a maximum of $500 towards those vet care bills. Second is our vaccination voucher. That's to keep pets healthy. That's good for up to $50 towards vaccination costs. That's our only voucher that does not require a copayment, and that's good once a year as well. We do see pets that unfortunately are on a lot of long-term meds right now, a lot of insulin meds, seizure meds that end up costing a lot out of pocket for pet owners. So for those families, they're able to qualify for a long-term medication voucher. That's good for up to $750 towards those medication costs over a 6-month period. And when that voucher expires, they're able to qualify for a new one. We're very fortunate that all vets in the county partner with us on this program. 2020 was, of course, a year like no other for all organizations. We were considered essential because we did provide assistance for those emergency vet visits. So we stayed open through the remainder we didn't get to shut down during the pandemic. During 2020, of course, we saw a lot of people who lost their jobs, a lot of loss of income. So in 2020 alone, we issued over $69,000 in assistance through the program, 195 vouchers. So far in 2021, the numbers have gone down a bit. We've issued 207 vouchers, a little over $59,000 in assistance. Our second program we love dearly. It's the Rough to Ready program, and that's one that we actually partner with Ascmv on, as well as action programs for animals. This is for dogs that have been recently adopted who are having issues adapting to their new homes. If there's behavioral issues in the homes, the last thing we want is for the dog to be returned to the shelter. So we provide 2 training sessions in-home with the new owner and the dog. They can be done in-home, or during COVID, a lot of people opted for community settings such as parks, and that's fine. Obviously, the goal of the program is to ensure dogs remain with their owners and aren't returned to the shelter. Our third program, we also partner with Ascmv Pets for Seniors. We provide a $25 discount for people age 60 and over who adopt a pet from Ascmv. Ascmv staff will send us monthly reporting, and then we'll reimburse based on that report. And the goal of that program is to ensure that seniors find companionship and help shelter pets find homes. There's different ways we're funded. Obviously, our largest program, the Animal Relief Fund, it was actually started and funded by a planned gift. Someone was kind enough to leave us in their will, and when we received that funding, it was restricted for the care of animals. So the board at the time decided to place those funds in an investment account, and that's been able to sustain the program this time. We also received grant funding through PetSmart Charities. Pets for the Elderly Foundation recently started funding the Animal Relief Fund program. They used to fund Pets for Seniors, but now they fund those vet care bills for persons age 60 and over. And individual donors and private family foundations also fund the program. When it comes to Pets for Seniors and Rough to Ready, we as an organization fund that, so that's built into our budget. The Rough to Ready training program costs approximately $156 per pet, and then $25 per adoption through Pets for Seniors. While we are no longer the shelter, we like to think that a lot of the programs we do work in tandem with the shelter to do what we all want to do and keep people and pets together. So if there's any questions.
Okay, board, is there any questions for Ms. Anaya?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, is there also a website? I know you have the phone number and an email. Is there a website, Facebook that?
Yes, we're very active on Facebook, and our website is also www.dachslc.org.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
and thank you for the support. Okay, now we're on to shelter statistics and activities. God, shelter statistics is a mouthful in the morning. Mr. Thacker.
Good morning, Board of Directors. Quint Thacker, Executive Director, Animal Service Center, Mesilla Valley, here to talk to you today about our numbers from November of 2021. 341 dogs and 176 cats for a total of 517 animals currently at the Ascmv, and that's as of yesterday. Our intake numbers they're creeping up slowly but surely to the 2019 numbers, which is really what we want to stay away from, stay down from. But as you see, a total of 712 intakes. That's 385 dogs and 324 cats. Again, our transfers for rescue organizations, we appreciate all that they do for us. See those large numbers up there. APA is always a big one for us. And we have a new partner that we've done just a little bit in the past, and that's the Helen Woodward Animal Center there on the right, 21 dogs. That was actually driven, and they're in California. So we were able to get animals there. However, we did have some issues with our transport vehicle on the second trip that we did, where it completely broke down on the side of the road. outside of Tucson. So we had to get it towed, and it looks like it's a transmission issue. So not only have we already replaced the engine in a 2015 Ford Transit van that's diesel, we also now get to replace the transmission. So we are looking into getting a new vehicle. We're going to repair that one because it repaired, we'll be able to use it just regionally around here from Alamogordo, Deming, kind of a thing, and also around town. For transports, like transporting our animals to the farmer's market, PetSmart, that kind of thing. But we need a new vehicle. So we're working right now with grants and also with private donors to be able to get a new vehicle for that long-term transfers. We still have our really big transfer truck that we're using. So it's not, our rescue program is still going, still working. Summer returns in November. Dogs, we had 2 behavior issues. And then cats, as you see there, behavior problem and can't afford basic care. As always, we always talk to them and say, what is it why that you're returning the animal? And then, like the can't afford basic care, we'll offer things to them that we may have, like the rough to ready issues, or the litter box training. We have plenty of literature, everything we try to do, and sometimes people just don't want the animal because of that, they just don't. And they don't want to say why, so they blame it on other things, and we understand that. So if somebody says, I just absolutely don't want it, then we will take the animal there. For some reason, looking in the past, all the way back to 2018, November is a lower live release rate, and we're trying to figure out why. When we look at this month, or November of this year, 70.5, 2020 is 2020, but when you look at 2019, it's 70.6, and then 2018, we were looking at it in our manager's meeting, it was 69.9. So it is a consistent percentage. And we're looking at the reasons why. I believe it's because the focus is turning more towards Christmas and the holidays, and rescues are gearing up for those because they always do a lot of adoptions and things in the December time. But we'll continue to look at that and see why. Some of the highlights there, though, the community cats, of course, 15.2%. Of the live release rate, it's gone up significantly, and that kind of takes place of the euthanasia rate. You see the euthanasia rate is still lower than it was in 2019. This year it was 26.3 and 33.5 before, so quite a bit lower. Our euthanasia reasons, number 1 reason for dogs is still that respiratory, and the TX you see on there means treatment was given, so they're not responding to the treatment. Our population right now is so much that if they're not responding to the treatment, then they need to be euthanized so we can allow room for the others that are coming in. And then the second reason you see is behavior or aggressive. And then for the cats, we're looking at, it's almost a tie between space behavior and space medical. And what that means is we need the space in the medical area to move more cats in. So if they are any medical reasons or behavior reasons that they have, cowering in the back of the cage, not friendly, that type of behavior, then they are euthanized. And unfortunately, as you saw in our previous numbers in 2020, we had the space where we could deal and hold these animals longer and get them into rescues where they have the space to do it, to care for them. But currently right now, with our current levels, we are not there. Our volunteer program continues to be stellar. 120 volunteers is an incredible number. Our volunteer coordinator works really hard and going in far outreaching areas to get volunteers. And also the volunteers are making a bigger presence at the Ascmv. They clean everything from cleaning cats to doing laundry and folding laundry to sitting at the front counter, welcoming people in and answering questions. So special thanks to the volunteer coordinator that does an amazing job there. 457 hours is a little bit lower than what it was in October, But that's a pretty decent number considering the holidays that we went through in November. Our visitors holding steady at 800. You see it kind of goes up and down a little bit since May, but that's 800 is usually about the number our appointments things allow there. So this one was a little bit concerning to me when I looked at it. We had 174 appointments for adoptions made. 95% kept the adoption appointment. That was great. So we had 95% of people coming in. However, only 56% of that 95 finalized the adoptions. So we need to look at and see, maybe start asking people why they're not adopting and find out those reasons. So, and again, these numbers are without the walkthroughs on Fridays and Saturdays. They started December 3rd, so next month we'll see. And those, by the way, are going really well. The center is busy from the hours of 1 to 3 Friday and Saturday. We're gonna, like I said, give it a month and see if that's something that, just because it's new, there's, be able to see it. So we want to make sure that that's going to hold steady if we're going to open those hours a little bit more. Web page views, again, holding almost average at 33,680. Again, those who are watching, this is not original hits on the web page. It's every time somebody clicks on say a dog to look at, and then they go back, and then they look at another dog, that's 2 views. So it's not original clicks coming in. Facebook views went down significantly. It was surprising, especially considering all the activity we've been doing on Facebook, but it went down to 2,257. Almost the lowest, looks like it's the 3rd lowest. Instagram continues to go well, so does Snapchat. 226 clicks on the ad from Instagram, and Snapchat has 455 clicks. And those clicks take them to the website where they can look at the adoptable animals. And there's our pets of the week, Molly and Ozzy. And I'm open to any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Thacker? The only one I had was around, and I know you had mentioned particularly around the euthanasia rates and the reasons. I know, I want to say it was APA that I thought sometime in 2019 into 2020, particularly looking at feral cats, because you had mentioned kind of behavior of cats, possibly that was one of the things leading to them being euthanized. They had, I thought it was APA, but I know one of the local partners had a program where they were trying to encourage, say, those in the farms that just need cats to go after mice and other rodents, that they can take the feral cats. I don't know what the outcome of that was. I've never seen any more advertised. I don't know if that's something that the Ascmv could do as well, but it's just, I think that's one of the things that I hear, especially right now in the colder months when mice in particular love to go into, looking for shelter, if that's something. And then the nice thing is that if they came from the Ascmv, you could guarantee that they would be spayed or neutered.
Yes, and they're guaranteed spay and neutered from APA as well, Action Program from Animals, and also from the Ascmv. It's called the Barn Cat Program. We participate in that as well. If somebody says, I'm looking for just a good barn cat, we can provide that with them. However, that kind of would fall into the community cat category. And we have no issues right now with the community cats, except for just the sheer high number of community cats that are coming in. We do have to limit that just a little bit. For instance, since August 27th, we've euthanized 27 community cats. That's all, within the hundreds and hundreds that we have sterilized and sent out. So, community cats is really not the worry. When I look at this, I see the reclaims are down quite a bit, and so is the rescues. So those are the ones that we work on.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the Clint. Very good. Okay, we're moving on to committee reports. We'll start with the Finance Committee. Mr. Enriquez?
Yes, good morning, Chair and board members. We did not hold a Finance Committee meeting prior to this one, but Josh Sassville is here to give the financial report today.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Josh Saffel, and on behalf of the Finance Department of the City of Las Cruces, I would like to present the unaudited financials as of November 2021. Starting off with our statement of net position, in the general fund, we had cash of $1,579,275, receivables of $102,818, which gave us total assets $1,682,093. We had liabilities of $56,471, revenue collected in advance of $229,869. So that left us with an unassigned fund balance in the general fund of $1,395,753. Looking at our change in net position, our total revenue was $1,758,787, and our total expenditures were $1,190,154. Looking at the budget to actual, we see that the total revenue of $1.7 million was 46.3% of the budget, and the total expenditures were 31.3% of the budget. Our budget parameter at this time is 41.6, so we see that the revenues are still slightly above that, which is good, and of course our expenditures are below that. Again, good. We also had a net positive change to the fund balance of $568,000 so far this year. Looking at revenues versus expenses over the course of the last 5 months, again, just to kind of explain the graph, we see that at the very beginning of the year, we have that inflow of cash as both Doña Ana and the city provide that upfront contribution, and then we see it kind of stabilize and normalize more as to a regular amount of income, and we just see some slight variation in expenses, but the amounts seem to be close to one another. Looking at cost categories as a percentage of total expenditures, we see, of course, salary being the highest at 51%. I was asked to separate salary and benefits, so salary and benefits are now separated out. We see the benefits are at 15.6%, services are at 16%, supplies are at 7%, and then temporary services are at 3%, insurance is at 3%, capital is at 2%, and then other and repairs and maintenance are both at 1% each. And that will conclude my presentation. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Saffel. Are there any questions on the finance report? All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, we're on to the executive committee update, which is myself. And the only notes, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of discussion. Really, we were looking at discussing the resolution from today, the 2021-09, which is around the benefits and salary increases. And I know at the moment, and I guess we'll have to look at this one on this line item when we get to it, but we're still awaiting some updates, getting final numbers in order for the board to approve that. The other thing is I think that led during that discussion in terms of the JPA and where we're at on that, and then upcoming meetings that I know Clint will be having, I know with Doña Ana County and the city. So those are starting to go on, and so we'll look forward as we continue to move into the new year, where we kind of continue on with those JPA discussions. So. But that's all the updates I had for the executive committee. We'll move on to the facilities committee. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Clint and I met. We talked about various things from a thermostat being broken. An order was sent up to city facilities, to the HVAC not working in Bernice and Clint's office. Apparently, there is a computer board that is not working correctly. It's been a little chilly in there, I think, but Clint says that he's there. I think they're okay, but apparently there needs to be a new unit installed, and the most unfortunate thing is it was a new unit when they installed it. So I don't know what's happening there, but I think they were looking at warranties and such. Clint, do you have an update on that?
Yes, thank you. Clarification issues.
Sorry,
there.
see?
That's all right. So we have, the thermostat was in the kennels, and that has been replaced. And so we have, those are all up and running, and everything's nice, roasty toasty in those areas. And then the computer board is the new unit that is over Bernice and I's office. And it's not cold, it's hot. Like
Sorry.
In our offices, no, that's fine. So they put the computer board in since our meeting, and it still didn't work. So either the computer board that they got was bad, or the compressor is an issue. So we're hoping it's the computer board and not the compressor. The compressor came, the gentleman there, he said it would be over $1,000 to replace the compressor. So we're waiting to hear back on that.
Thanks, Clint. We also talked about the scrubbers that need to be routinely replaced, and UV bulbs, I think, are on order. Do you have an update on that?
We're working with the manufacturer of those UV lights. It's a special light that you have to order through the website, and they're hard to work with. Bernice can attest to that. So yeah, we are working on getting those replaced.
Let's see, we also talked about the insulation. I have insulation. Wait. Sorry, Clint. We talked about, well, you just gave me an update and it changed from the time. Can you, sorry, Clint.
The drains.
The drain, yes. Yeah, thank you, Clint. So there was concern that maybe the drain was plugged up. They had to contract somebody to come in with the camera, and that necessarily wasn't the case. There's not a plug. Of course, that's important, right, as they're cleaning and making sure that the lines are flushed and flushing, and for proper cleaning. I think what happened, it's something about the pipe and the positioning in the pipe. And so we're assured by the individual who came out that there isn't a plug, and so we're going to keep moving on with that.
We're gonna flow freely.
Yes.
To the next one. What it was is we do preventive maintenance snaking, and so when the snake went down, it stopped. This is further than he'd ever gone before, and it stopped. And so he said, well, there's probably a clog. Something there is stopping it. So we got a camera down in there and found that it was just the angle of the pipe was severe, that it wouldn't let the snake go through. The water on the camera, you can see the water is just flowing freely just through. So he's confident that there's no clog there.
And I think we talked about the population. At the time, there was 550 plus. We talked about disease and, distemper being an issue, but an issue statewide, I think, with other facilities as well. And so Clint and staff are always working towards trying to mitigate that. We also talked about the new construction. It's going well. At that time, the 3 walls were up, but Clint just let me know that last week, I think,
Thursday evening.
The silver beams, the steel beams fell, and so, but by that point, already today, they're back up and secure, I think. Clint, do you want to say any more about the new construction?
New construction, yeah, it's going really well. They were just the metal studs is what they were. So they're thin metal, and when the wind hit, it just buckled some of the supports, and so they tipped over. It wasn't a violent tip over, it looked like. It was just a nice, slow, easy bend. And they're, like I said, they're already up and completed. I do want to mention really quick on the distemper, we want to focus a lot on education. So what we've done in the managers meeting, we discussed having medical staff in our staff meetings once a month focus on a disease. So people can ask the questions that they may have. We feel like we do a pretty good job of sharing that information too, but we want to see what our coworkers' questions they have. So we're going to be doing that starting next Monday, or Tuesday actually, is when we're going to be doing our first one is on distemper, because that's the one that's most prevalent. So hopefully that will make some headway on education, training, and being able to get the information for that disease out.
Thank you. That completes our facilities update. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Flores.
Thank you. I have a question for you, Clint. I drove by there and saw it was almost collapsed. The entire side was almost collapsed. And my concern was, and I did think, well, maybe we had a burst of wind, and maybe we had some wind, but it wasn't that strong. So I was just wondering, did you call the engineers? Did you call the city? Did you let everybody know that either the design or the materials being used were faulty? Because that's what it looked like to me. And I'm sorry I didn't call you. I figured, well, it was right there. If you didn't see it, what's the point of me calling you?
We were very well made aware of it. Yeah, we had a lot of people contact us.
Yeah.
And we did contact the contractor about it. The design is solid. The reason is because they only had 2 or 3 of the beams going down from the wall to the ground that were holding them up, because that's really all they needed. And there on the mesa, I'm sure you're aware that the wind does whip along there pretty good. And there was a wind advisory that night, on Thursday night. So I don't know when you saw it, but.
Well, I saw it after it happened, obviously. Yeah. So whenever it was, I was picking up some medication for Edie down the street at Jornada Clinic, and I drove by there. But so did you contact the city? Did you contact our contractors? I mean, not just the contractor, but the city. To me, it was really, really. I would have been calling everybody just to let them know there's just something not quite right with. We live in Las Cruces. Everybody knows that we have the winds that come in and wreak havoc.
Well,
So
another one is that they're not connected, the walls. Some of them, it's just a freestanding wall. So when they're all connected, it will be a solid structure. But at that point, it was just a flat surface for that wind to grab. We did address it in our GeoBond meeting that we had.
Oh.
And Eric can talk about it too if he wants to, but it was mentioned and being addressed.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Clint, for following up on that and taking care. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, Chair and board members. Thank you, Councilor Flores.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes, Public Works was notified immediately. That is a GeoBond project. We do have a contractor project manager on board. They were all notified. It was discussed. Everything was brought up to speed. It was even dispatched through MRVDA as an emergency. So we were definitely notified about this situation, and it's been remedied.
So was there any explanation as to why it didn't withstand the wind?
No, there wasn't anything other than what Mr. Thacker has already stated. Normal operations, just one of those gusts that came in, but in the process. And so they'll definitely be more aware of it now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Thacker and Mr. Enriquez. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Thank you, Mr. Enriquez. And thank you, Mr. Thacker. Okay. Is there any other questions, comments? All right, then we're on to action items, which will start with Resolution 2021-09, the wage increase for the Ascmv personnel. I know I touched on it a little bit during the executive committee update, but at the moment, I believe we still do not have all of the numbers that we need, at least for consideration.
Correct. I was just received an email just yesterday about having the information in the system, and we have not had a chance to look at it. So I propose that we table this until further notice when I bring it back up.
Okay, so I guess we'll need a motion at least to take action on Resolution 2021-09. So we can either take it, we can either do it until further notice, or at least, or we can put it to our next meeting, which I believe is the 19th of January? Or the 27th? Sorry, I got so used to the last 2 months meeting on Wednesdays. Okay, the 27th. Thank you, Bernice.
I just don't know, Mr. Chair, if we're going to have the correct information, because it's more than just the 80-20 split. We also, if you might recall, the memo that came from the Budget Department also stated that there were funds that needed to be secured to ultimately fund this ongoing increase. And when I say ongoing increase, I mean that once we give them, the coworkers, the salary increase, it's going to have to go every year after that. So I do need some more time to be able to talk with the city and the county to possibly secure some funds, or even in my budget, if we're looking at making some cuts in each department, we have to free up about $63,000 is what we have to cover. So if we have to free up some money, do that, that's fine. But I do need some time for that, and I'm afraid I don't know if I'll be there by the next January meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Thacker, I think that this is an important matter, and do you work with HR, or you said you have to consult with the city, the county? What do you mean by that? And the problem with tabling to a date uncertain is that sometimes things fall through the cracks, and I think wage increases are very, very important. It's a very important issue, and I think that this is something that has to be prioritized to assure that the powers, the parties you deal with, I really don't know. You say but isn't it HR that processes payroll, and do they take care of that, the city HR? Aren't they the ones who figure out how to move money around, or whatever it is you have to do? I don't want to say, I'm just saying flippantly, move money around, and I know that's a very terrible word in accounting. I'm not an accountant, but is there any way that we can keep it on calendar, Mr. Chair and Mr. Thacker, and then if it hasn't been resolved or brought with a clear plan or presentation, then we can keep it on calendar.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend, just because tabling indefinitely sometimes means that there's going to be no action on it.
I understand that, and I promise you there's going to be action, because I have deferred my salary from the board until my staff gets there.
Yes, I was advised.
Increase.
Yes.
So I promise you there's going to be some action on it, because I want my increase just as bad as the individuals who really need the increase want it. The HR is totally on board. They said pretty much just give us the numbers you want. We need to run the model to make sure that it will run correctly. In other words, it will go into paychecks correctly, and the taxes, everything will work on it. They're ready. They're ready to go.
So what's the holdup?
Well, the board is the holdup. If we want to go forward, if I want to present this information and the resolution now and do a vote, I'd be more than happy to. But in the past, it was we don't have the information from that 80-20 split of the insurance, and I don't know how that's going to impact the bottom line on my side. When I asked that question to our budget analysis there at the center, he said we have more than enough salary savings, not only salary savings, but the fund balance projection to cover any increase we're going to get from the 80-20 split.
It seems to me, though, that the 80-20 split was already determined, otherwise we wouldn't have authorized it. I mean, it seems, well, and I think Leanne, is that Leanne that walked in? I don't know if Leanne has any information on that, but.
We know how much it's going to be per employee, but I don't know how many employees are wanting it. I might have some people that said the 60-40 split was too much. I don't want to have that insurance. My husband can do it. And then now with the 80-20, it's, oh, this is better insurance. I might take it. So I don't have that information of how many employees yet. So Leanne, want to jump in here anytime?
It seems really weird to me. It seems to me that we wouldn't have approved the 80-20 if it hadn't been already determined that it was really, I mean, I'd be jumping for joy if I had an 80-20.
So, Chair Sanchez, Councilor Flores, Clint is absolutely correct. What we did was, as you know, we used to have a 60-40 split. We currently went to the state as well, which did reflect a little bit of a change in the premiums, which actually I think was a decrease, but we're talking pennies in the decrease. However, because we did go from 60-40 to 80-20, we offer it to everyone, to the Animal Service Center, to everyone within the city. We only had, I want to say, in our whole network, city and JPAs, we only had about 1,050 people that had actually wanted city insurance. Our anticipation is that when we opened this for anybody to enroll, because it's a brand new enrollment, we felt that there was going to be a lot more people that were going to be switching over from whatever current insurance they're on to the city, changing from maybe their spouse to, onto the city because of this 80-20 split, because we're putting more money on the employee's paycheck. So what that number or what that increase is, I have not received it from HR. We anticipated that it could rise as high as from 1,000 to about 1,500. That's a lot. So HR is still doing that analysis. I have not received anything from them. I will reach out to Joe Richards, who is our HR director, to try to see if I can get that information. But they're also working on the minimum wage, which will start in January as well, which will affect Animal Service Center as well. So there's a lot of things that are factoring that are probably going to hit. As you know, I sent you a memo. I'm not a big component of using salary savings for these positions because, I really want Clint to fill all of his positions. So what that does is it actually increases, using salary savings next year, those increases reflect in the new budget. So it needs to be a budget adjustment for what we're saying. So just passing on the information, it's probably also going to include a budget adjustment for the 80-20 and also for the minimum wage that's going to hit in January. And that analysis is still being conducted right now as well. Just letting you know, as soon as Ms. Richards and her group get this together, we did hire a consultant to help us with that compression. I've seen the model, and he's running the numbers right now. It looks really good, but it is going to be a big increase.
Well, salary savings shouldn't be a salary savings. I think you were intimating that should stay where it is to assure that there are.
I do it. I am putting my budget hat on, and I'll let Mr. Enriquez comment if he would like to. I have no problem with, if you have some salary savings, using them for like a one-time purchase. You have a piece of equipment that you're really needing, something breaks, the washing machine breaks, something like that. Salary savings for that one-time expense, but not something that's perpetual, year after year after year. That is really what my concerns are. And it's like I told Clint, if there is an increase in the budget, it's this board that needs to make that decision. So.
And the salary savings is under a budget item,
Yes, ma'am.
line item?
It
And
is.
then it sits there and it does what, Leanne?
You can request a budget adjustment. He can come to the board and request a budget adjustment to use that. It's not really within the city moving money from salary savings or salaries to operating is strictly something that we have to take to Mr. Peely. The city does. But as far as for Clint, I believe that he probably should just bring that item as a discussion item. I don't think it's necessary to have a resolution to move money from, one object code to another object code, but to just let you know, which he has been. He has informed you that he would like to use his salary savings to increase salaries. So, or if he wants to use salary savings to purchase, sorry, I keep using your washing machine, but yes, I know. So, things like that. So, but yes, ma'am, it is budgeted. It is in there.
Okay, but I still don't understand the concept of salary savings. Does that money just stay there indefinitely to fill, or is it there just because it looks nice? Or, it looks secure, and what is it securing? What's it called? What?
And I think, Councilor Flores, and maybe and I don't know if this helps, but at the beginning of the year, we approved a budget that includes so much to fund so many positions at the Ascmv.
Yes.
With those vacancies, we're not paying anybody, so we have those savings, and it will sit in that budget. It just sits in that account.
Yes.
Until we decide to use it. If we don't use it at the end of the year, then it goes into the reserves.
So it goes salary, whatever. That is for unfilled positions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's what I thought, salary savings. And I agree with you that we shouldn't be using money maybe to take from salary savings that would be filling more positions. That's what salary savings is for. So I agree with that. But we're not filling positions anyway. And that's what I'm getting at. It's like, what the huda? And so I'm flabbergasted because we hear that. We hear that, at City Council all the time. And I've already had this conversation with you, Leanne. It's like, so it just looks really, it's a security blanket in accounting principles or, in the accounting world of money. I think we all have our little, our safety, whatever you call it, for a rainy day. But that's not what savings are. It's really allocations of money to fill positions. So, and I agree with you, it shouldn't be taken, one-time thing for a broken washer machine and dryer, which does happen because there's a lot of washing to do there and drying. But it just seems to me that I think that there should have been a better mechanism then for this, what we're dealing with now with the 80-20.
So, Board Chair and,
Thank you.
And Councilor Flores, if I can respond, I do believe that the best mechanism is that if you had everything that you could have, Clint should have all of his positions filled. That's what we want, correct? Just like my own department, one time I had 14 open positions, I will tell you. I'm knocking them out. I got 5 left, maybe 4. So there is that capability, you just have to be on top of it. I don't know what Clint's, his working condition is with HR. However, I know that we are trying to get people to apply. I don't know if the county seems to have that issue as well. Getting people to even apply for positions has been a little difficult. I actually had a position out there, and it was out there for 3 weeks, and nobody applied. So it's, we're trying to get these filled as possible, so I'll say that. However, again, if you're going to increase salaries, which I'm all for paying people for what, is needed, we want that within the city as well. However, if you're going to do it, I do believe that he needs to bring forward to this board a budget adjustment and get their permission to increase the budget, because next year, That way, that budget can hopefully increase to the next year and can go to council and to the county commission as well.
Thank you so much, Leanne, and thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Thacker.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. And then I just for clarification, I just wanted to, I think, just not to belabor the point, but I think the one caveat in that is assuming that Clint will want to maintain that manpower or the number of positions. If he does not, and that then creates it's kind of an offset. By you taking away a couple of positions, you can take those monies and use for salary increase, could we not?
That is, Board Chair Sanchez, you are absolutely correct. Excuse me, sorry. Actually, on the memo that I sent to the board, that was one of the recommendations. I do believe that it might be very necessary to do, and we do this within the city as well, within our own departments, a resource analysis on our positions, because sometimes, positions grow. Sometimes, you become more efficient and more effective, that there's positions that may need to change, or we just don't need these positions anymore, or we've got the wrong position. There's a lot of this, and I do believe that there is the possibility of doing some type of resource analysis to do that. And I think this would help Clint and his whole staff as well.
Okay.
So yes, sir, you are correct. We could lower the number of, he has several part-time employees. You could lower that number of part-time employees, and you could use that for, the additional pay to the rest of the staff. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, just so that way we know, Clint, I'm not trying to take away jobs or headcount from you, but it's just, I think when we look at it as a board, just want to make sure that we're looking and understand where we could go if we're trying to maintain the budget, or if we're going to increase the budget, like Leanne said, where we have to go to the county and the city to approve everything. But that, I think, goes into, the JPA discussion, so.
Yeah, and I would like to remind the board on and I know that you're working on the joint powers agreement. However, the agreement is that, you bring a recommendation to the board, very similar to the utility board, bring a recommendation, and then that budget needs to go also to the county and to the city councilors as well. So I just wanted to pass it on, because the budget season has begun, so.
Yep. Okay, Vice Chair Betis-Tubby.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leanne. I actually have one last question for you, if you don't mind. And thank you, Clint. With all the different analyses that you all are doing, is February a more ideal time to take all those different metrics into account? Or do you think our next meeting is at the end of January?
So, Board Chair Sanchez, Councilor Stuvey, actually, I think that's too late. My understanding is, and I'm working with HR because, as you know, minimum wage has to start January 1. We have a new minimum wage. It's going from $10.50 to $11.50. Yeah, so there's going to be so we need to do it. Also, too, our premiums start January 1 as well. So I would actually say that we need to get that from HR in the next week, or I know it's Christmas and New Year's, but we need to get that from HR like ASAP, and I am working with them. So I will try to put out a message to Ms. Richards with Mr. Enrique's help and try to see if we can get some numbers. I know the board doesn't meet for another month. However, minimum wage will have to happen regardless of what the board, that's a given. That's a state. We have to do that, just like the county has to do that as well. As far as our, as far as the insurance, the board has the, so the city adopted 80/20, so it just sort of goes down into what our coverage is. The JPA does state that they don't have to use our benefits, okay? They could actually go out and get their own. I don't know if Clint would ever want to do that. That would be hardship on trying to keep up with all of that. However, you do not have to adopt the 80/20. You could adopt just leaving it the 60/40. But I'm not making that recommendation. I like the 80/20, but, and I think it will help us with recruitment. and help us get positions filled. The city is looking very attractive.
Thank
I
you.
keep looking at the county because we're in competition, so.
Thank you, Leanne. I appreciate that, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Okay, so I guess based off of the conversations, I think then what I'll do is I'd like to have a motion to postpone this to a date certain to January 27th, which will be our next Ascmv board meeting.
So moved by Flores.
Moved by Councilor Flores,
Second, Abeta Stuvey.
seconded by Vice Chair Abate-Stuvey. Is there any discussion or input on the motion? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Board Member Enriquez?
Yes.
Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member McMahon?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Abate-Stuvey?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes. Okay, then we'll take this up at our next board meeting on the 27th of January. Okay, now we're on to agenda item 7B, which is Resolution 2021-10, a reasonable notice of meetings for 2022. Can I get a motion and a second on this resolution, please, for approval?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Abate-Stuvey. Can I get a second on approval of Resolution 2021-10?
Second by Flores.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Mr. Thacker.
This is general housekeeping, just letting them know of the meetings that are going to be happening. The main points on it are the fourth Thursday of every month, 9 a.m. here in the chambers, unless pretty much otherwise as stated. The resolution also goes through, talks about emergency meetings, special meetings, closed meetings. It's all the same information as years before. Basic housekeeping again.
Okay, is there any questions on Resolution 2021-10? Okay. And can we get a roll call, please?
Board Member Enriquez?
Yes.
Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member McMahon?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Abate-Stuvey?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes. That resolution is approved. Okay, we're on to Resolution 2021-11. If I can get a motion and a second to begin discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Flores,
Second.
seconded by Abate-Stuvey. God, you guys are MVPs today. Thank you. Okay, Clint.
Again, housekeeping resolution for our holiday closures for the Ascmv. It mirrors the cities and basically all governments fairly closely. There are some exceptions every year. For instance, we are a 7-day-a-week operation, so Easter is one that we're closed where the city and also the county are not closed on because they're already closed. So we have that holiday added. And then we have these things called floating holidays where the center is open, but it falls on a day that usually we have off, if that makes sense. So we have 2 of those open days. But this, again, mirrors most government agencies.
Thank you, Clint. Are there any questions, input on the proposed holiday schedule for 2022? I will only make the note that our resolution does need to be amended because the very bottom, or is that intentional that we put the winter holiday of 2021 versus 2022?
That is on purpose, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Sorry. Then we're good then. So if that's the case, there's no other input.
As
I just wanted, I saw it at the bottom. I just wanted to make sure we just didn't forget to change that one before.
Yeah, I'm looking back at Bernice, just making sure.
Okay.
Because if I'm, in my mind, it does need to be changed to 2022. Is that correct, Bernice?
The reason being is I know it says here the holidays for Christmas of 2022, but then December 26th, which would be the day after, kind of similar to the Thanksgiving holiday above.
Yeah, it needs to be changed to 2022. The only hesitation I have was we had issues with the New Year's Day. Sometimes either the
And
year
that-
before or the year after. So
And that's what I was going to double check before I just wanted to make sure that that's what it was, or,
Yes, my apologies, that should be 2022. I just copied and pasted stuff, and I
Okay.
forgot to change that one date. So yes, it should be 2022.
okay. So in that case, can I get a motion to amend Resolution 2021-11 to now read Monday, December 26th, 2022?
So moved by Flores.
Moved by Councilor Flores,
Second?
seconded by Vice Chair Beitistuvi. Okay. So can I get a roll call on the proposed amendment?
Board Member Enriquez?
Sorry, I had my mic on. Yes. Is it not working?
It's not working. That's okay. There we go.
yes.
Thank you. Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member McMahon?
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
Board Member Beitistuve?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes. Okay, so we have now Resolution 2021-11 as amended. If there's no other input, then I'll ask for a roll call on the resolution as amended.
Board Member Enriquez?
Yes.
Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member McMahon?
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
Board Member Beitistuve?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes. Okay. All righty. Okay, now we're on to public input. Are there any members of the public? I invite them to come up and provide their input to the Ascmv board.
Frank Bryce, I'm President, Humane Society of Southern New Mexico. I would like to make a second kind of stab at us out in the field, private organizations, getting calls on people trying to relinquish dogs, get a help with them being referred to us by the shelter. I've talked about this several times. We still need to come to some kind of resolution. We need to have some working issue on it. I still recommend that the shelter take the lead. They're the most obvious place to do that. Figure out where the dog, cat needs to go if they can, and what kind of help can be combined from the shelter and that organization. The simple way, in my opinion, the shelter do the spay, neuter, and the vaccinations, and they foster the dog or cat out to the organization to hold until they can find a proper suitable home. So I'm making that request again. And I will be up here until we get something done that keeps us from refusing people who call, because we don't even handle that kind of animal. We don't know what's going on with it. And we usually don't have the funds to do that on our own, not as regularly as we would like to, of course. And then the other subject is, I think, much more sensitive. I haven't heard anybody say anything about the incident with that child and the dogs. I would like to at least have an update, a report, some kind of a status report on what's going on with that child that got killed by the dogs. I've got several different people calling me, giving me different information as to who's responsible, who's involved in it, and I would like to have at least a status report on what's going on. I'm very concerned about it, and I'm going to follow up on inspection of public records request from all the agencies that might have had something to do or some connection with that incident. We need to be very, very careful when we put dogs out in groups like that. I'm fostering 19 dogs now because of the pandemic at my place. I have the kennels, they're locked, they're wired, and I feel perfectly secure in the way we do it. We don't even put the animals together unless they're part of the family. That's a very small group to begin with. And essentially, I'm the only one that goes in there with the exception of one dog. That's by another organization. We're trying to find a home for it, but it's being specially rehabbed because of its experiences. It's a nice dog. I don't think it poses a danger to anybody, but it's not a happy dog, and we're trying to make it help get it that way. But I would like at least a status report where we stand on this from the public standpoint. This is a very sad situation, and we can't get very good information. I've got different reports from different people in different agencies, and it's just not a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. Is there any other public input? Okay, not seeing any, so we'll move on to chair and board comments. Are there any comments from the board? Oh, Mr. Enriquez.
Yes, thank you, Chair and board members. I just wanted to bring the board up to date that last Wednesday, we had a meeting with our HR director, Ms. Richards, Mr. Thacker, and myself, and had a meeting to discuss, how to try to improve the hiring process and what are some options. And I think we've come up with a good game plan, good idea, allowing the Animal Service Center to kind of do their hiring, such as what MRVDA does. The Las Cruces will still do the posting of the hiring and help them with a lot of the internal, maybe the background and things of that nature, but a lot of that would fall on the Animal Service Center to do a lot of their hiring and have more control over that. And so I think it was a good, positive meeting. I think there's still some details to work out, but moving in the right direction. Just wanted to update the board on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enriquez. Are there any other comments, input? Before we move on or to adjournment, I did want to remind the public or let them know that there's a nice tree at the entrance of City Hall that is for the Ascmv angel tree. There are ornaments that have adoptable animals. So if people are considering getting pets for Christmas, we encourage them to adopt, don't shop. There's plenty of animals in the Animal Service Center. If they look at the tree, at the ornament, there's a picture of an animal. And on the backside, if they're not interested in an animal, but they are interested in helping the Animal Service Center, there is a QR code on the back that they can be linked to the Amazon wish list, and they can help contribute in that way as well. So just want to let the public know that that's there here at City Hall, right at the entrance on the right side. So if you come into City Hall, take a look, and if you can help, or if you're looking for a pet, appreciate your support. All right, so we are now to the end of our agenda, so I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second by Flores.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Gadara, seconded by Councilor Flores. If there's no objections, then we are adjourned at 9:52 a.m. And thank you all very much. Merry Christmas. Our next meeting will be January 27th. Thursday here at City Hall. So thank you all. Have a wonderful holiday.